I would say be true to yourself, and your business really needs to be what you're passionate about and what really gets you juiced, and that's your true calling.
So joining me on the line today, I've got Derek Rogers from the Thrive Movement Australia. Welcome to the call, Derek.
Thank you, David, for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Maybe just explain to the audience what the Thrive Movement Australia actually is.
Sure. Thrive Movement Australia exists to empower people and organisations with the mindsets, the tools and the strategies to thrive. Even during COVID, people are thriving. So most are not, we realise that. But so yes, in the whole embrace that with health and wellbeing undertone.
I suppose mental wellness is a pretty hot topic right now, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. The mental health agencies are saying that October, which is now, there's the mental health crisis is looming. Beyond Blue, that was in August, and over 1 million people access their online forums.
Right.
And don't forget, they're one of 82 non-for-profits dealing with mental health. So, yeah, big crisis happening at the moment. And I don't know about you, but most of the people I speak to in Melbourne are over COVID and they're struggling, and fair enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of undertone of anger and aggression and all sorts of horrible things going on out there. And I think it's the sort of unwritten sort of loss that COVID's causing, or the lockdown is causing, is just the mental sort of side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and another way of explaining it, that I was saying that people are experiencing grief in one way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are maybe directly lost someone who's maybe in a nursing home and can't get there.
Yeah.
But just the loss of your quality of life. You can't go and do the things you love. You can't speak to the people or see them. You can't do your activities, and that whole loss and that isolation really affects our mental health. So that's why people are behaving and feeling really out of sorts.
So how are you tackling that as an organisation? What are you doing to sort of navigate the current economy?
So joining networks that I can be seen to be a viable proposal to make a difference, supporting organisations, having those chats with them, being able to say, how is your staff coping, and then having a look at seeing what systems they have in place, what policies they have in place to support them, and then see if there's an opportunity to be valued.
Yeah. And in terms of the business owner, what opportunities do you see for them right now?
There's a great opportunity for business owners. I love Richard Branson's quote that says, look after your people and your people look after your business. So with a lot of staff, especially if it's their office-based, if they're working from home, they're going to be pretty isolated and feeling it. If you're in a warehouse or you're in a workshop and it's just a lot of people, it's just been business as usual, might have been a bit quieter, so they haven't really felt it. So you've got to be, as the business owner, gauging your workplace and your environment, your industry.
Yeah, and I suppose there's a new sense of awareness around that, isn't there? Because it's never really been such an issue as it is now, and it's probably a responsibility of the business owner to be aware of how their team are sort of dealing with this, because a lot of it's in silence, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe a good business owner, a good leader, is someone who's really aware of their staff and how they're travelling, and you have developed systems of how you check in with them, whether that's formally or informally, and you're keeping a closer eye on them than you normally would, because they might be seeing all fine on the factory floor, but they're at home. There's challenges with kids being homeschooled. They might have parents in nursing home or grandparents that are. So yeah, we got to really look after each other and care for each other more than we ever have. And people are doing that, so I can see a real shift in mankind, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, fantastic. So let me ask you your personal lessons out of this whole ordeal. We've been going for nearly 6 or 7 months now with this whole pressure on our economy, pressure on families, pressure on relationships. What have you learned personally out of this?
Is to walk the talk. Because I'm just a normal person, and my health and well-being is been affected like this. I've had a couple of months where I first started a little while ago and had no income and no clients, and I was under that financial pressure. I've had disconnected from my family.
Yeah.
So adapting the coping strategies, having a routine, strict morning routine,
Yeah.
having structure, having breaks, drinking more water, getting out in the fresh air, and keeping that routine that is going to keep me thriving. Yeah. And of course, and then that powerful mindset, David, of focusing on things that are within my control.
Yeah.
As opposed to stuff that's outside my control that if I focus on it for too long, it's just going to do my head in.
Yeah, and that's a big one, isn't it, for a lot of people? They're sort of hearing all this media, this doom and gloom, and really most of it's outside of your control.
It is. And so one of the coping strategies that I use and recommend is to really be careful of how much media you're listening to.
Yeah.
And it could be also well-meaning family and friends, but if they're gone down too much of the conspiracy theories and they're giving you the latest updates every hour, that's not going to do anything for your mental health.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me ask you on a bigger note, Derek. You've been sort of in our business for a while. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
I would say be true to yourself, and your business really needs to be what you're passionate about and what really gets you juiced, and that's your true calling. You can do something that might make a quick buck, or here's an opportunity, but I think in the end it's going to bite you in the bum, and it's not going to be satisfying. So I've learned from some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, and that's what I'm doing now. Is just I'm following my calling.
So if you don't have a calling, you don't know what it is, what do you do then?
Yeah, well, you look for what shows up in your life. So if people say, what's my purpose? I don't know. And I'm looking. Louise Hayes taught people back in the 70s, that you just take notice of what's been showing up in your life. You'll see what you've been passionate about. And if you can be clever and smart enough to be able to then turn that into a career, to a business, to be able to make a living out of that, well then, that's all we ask for, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. So let me ask you on a sort of, you mentioned Denise Hay, your favourite book?
I think a real pivotal one for me probably 10, 15 years ago, David, was Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now.
Yeah.
So that really profound, that I can actually choose my thoughts. I can choose how I react to the world by catching my thoughts. All right, neuroscience says there's only like 0.34 of a second, but I'm just getting better at catching myself. So that reading that book really changed my life, and I'm grateful for that. And it's probably a good idea to read it again, I think, at the moment.
So the key message is just that you can control your thoughts, and you just need to be mindful of what your thoughts are doing, and realizing that it's something that is within your control.
Yeah, and just practicing that mindfulness, like right here, right now. There's just you and I. There's most of the problems in our life are not here right now.
No.
And now there's right now. And so mindfulness has been proven in research over and over again to be a great coping skill during COVID.
Yep.
Drastically reduce your stress, and then, no coincidence, actually increase your performance, because you're not worrying about what's coming up in 2 hours, 2 days' time, or what's happened 2 hours or 2 days ago.
Yeah, fantastic. So let me ask you one last question. What's the number one piece of advice you'd give to someone in business right now?
Is to look after your staff. We want our businesses to thrive. You've got to look after your staff. If you help them, look after them, they'll look after your business. You want your business to thrive, you help your people thrive. And I think now's a really good opportunity during COVID to just work more together, work more collaboratively. And then you're setting yourself up for a rosy future, let's hope.
Yeah, fantastic. Derek, thanks so much for your time today. Really enjoyed the conversation, and some inspiration in there as well.
My pleasure, David. Thanks for having me. And let's hope it makes a difference for somebody out there.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you.